All right, here we go. It's Dave's solo time. This is like the second, third, or fourth time in a couple weeks. Andy leaving me alone, leaving me to my own devices. Um, Anyway, Andy's down in beautiful Fort Jackson, or heading down, he's probably down there now, down in beautiful Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Only an hour and a half away from me, but didn't bother to come drive by and say hi or anything like that. So no offense, Andy. You're all good, man. Don't worry about it. I would have, not that I would have liked to see you in person or anything, but that's the way we are today. So in all seriousness, he's down there with his son graduating from basic training. Great culmination of a multi months, several weeks, obviously event. This is such a significant part of our country. The fabric of our country is service, and being part of something bigger than oneself. Whether that's service to your community, service to the nation, is whether it's in the Army or Navy, Air Force, wherever, whether it's in civil service, whatnot. Just so proud of continuing the legacy there in the Jabor family. And basic training, I'd be interested to hear any stories that Andy might have from his son, because it's such a unique experience. Because again, they break you down to build you up, and they get you ingrained in the discipline. And for some people, it may seem silly. It may seem like, oh, this is ridiculous. Polishing uh, drains with Brasso and all this other stuff. I was mentioning Brasso last week or on Monday. I, I mean, yeah, it seems silly. It seems ridiculous. And you're like, how can I be humiliated to do something like this? But it's instilling discipline. It's instilling, that type of rigor necessary to do what they need to do, what the military needs to do. And, couldn't be prouder for Andy's son. My son is a lieutenant in the Army right now. My daughter-in-law is a lieutenant as well. And then Andy's son now is going to go to officer candidate school. He's going to go to Fort Benning for more training to become an officer. So he'll be a lieutenant here shortly as well. So super excited for Andy. Congratulations to him and his family. And to Mama Jabor, who's out there listening as well. So carry on despite not having Andy with us. So we got a lot of things to get into. I'm going to cover three main areas. Again, we'll do the 7 minutes. I've got the timer up and running. I want to close the loop a little bit more on this Trump jet thing and his scurry to the Middle East. And look, this is just, let's just be very real. It's not a good look. It's not a good perception. No, the very rare people even think this way. In fact, the Magites are coming out. Ben Shapiro, Laura Loomer, two of the biggest proponents of what Trump is trying to accomplish in office, and trying to drain the swamp and all this other stuff, now are even openly questioning what this looks like, and questioning his choices. Again, and I've heard just stupidity coming out of this administration about, oh, we've done it. It's not a bribe, and it's a gift. We're taking something free from another country. Why wouldn't we want to do this? There's so many things wrong with it. Andy mentioned it on Monday. One, it's against the Constitution. So let's just start there, right? It's unconstitutional. So for a group that is ardent supporters of the Constitution and believe that everything that everyone else does is unconstitutional, here is something blatantly unconstitutional, and they're finding ways to work around it. This other idea that, oh, it's going to the Department of Defense. It's we're being accepted as a country. It's not coming to Donald Trump. Maybe on paper, again, I mentioned this on Monday. Maybe on paper that's true. It is going to the Department of Defense, but they're acting as a money launderer, because when it's really only designed for President Trump, because when he leaves office, it's going to go to his library where, well, let's just be real, he could probably use it some more. So somebody will say, well, Ronald Reagan has a Air Force One at his library. Ronald Reagan's Air Force One was a retired Air Force One after decades of service previously. So it had served seven other presidents before. So let's counter that right away. This is going to be in service because, again, it's not built yet. It's not complete yet. It has to go through all this work. Has to go through $1 billion worth of a redesign that some estimates are up there on. But even if it's not a billion, it's still going to have to go through some financial redesign. So it's not free. Again, we're going to have to pay for it. So there's a lot of that work that's going to go. And we may get it the last year of Trump's presidency for 1 year, maybe. And then it's going to go to his library and it's just going to sit on a tarmac somewhere. Hardly. Trump will probably retrofit that and then use it for wherever he wants to go around the world. So it is a gift. And with everything, there are going to be strings attached to that. Now, it may not be apparent, but when you do something like this, you then open yourself up to like, oh yeah, what will I hurt? I'll listen to this guy. I'll do this. And again, it's not going to be open. Here's a $400 million jet. Now give me this. It's not going to be open like that. That's not how this works, right? And I saw a great political cartoon where, you know, the Qataris were had a balloon with a jet on it and handed it to Trump as if he was a kid reaching up for it trying to grab it, but that balloon string had a long string tail that left the picture, and the implication was very clear. There are strings attached to this, and whether that's today, tomorrow, next year, 5 years from now, whatever that may be, there are going to be favors that are called in. It's just unavoidable. And again, yeah, I even heard some fucking stupid ass argument. Well, the Statue of Liberty was a gift from a foreign country. Like, get the fuck out of here! Like, come on. I mean, yes, that was a gift from another country that is in a harbor of ours for all of America and the whole world to enjoy. This gift is for Trump. Let's just be very real about it. So I think there's just a lot. You know, the more people see this, the more this ends. This is who Trump is, and for Caroline Levitt to get up there and say Trump gives service, all he gives up his life of luxury to serve America. He doesn't seek to profit of it. Trump Bible, Trump shoes, Trump Doge coins, or whatever, meme coins. These are all things that he's using his name as a president to benefit off of. Trump guitars, like the Daily Show. If you're not watching the Daily Show, if you're not watching the clips of the Daily Show, they are in rare form. They are firing on all cylinders. They rotate the host, John Stewart does Mondays, and then they rotate the host throughout the week. It's fucking amazing. There's no drop off. They are awesome. So follow them on socials wherever Blue Sky, X, wherever. But they have a great one on this about all the ways that Trump has benefited from his name as the president to get larger things. Again, remember the gold Trump shoes? These are the highest quality. These are the best. Remember the Bible? He's got more. The Bible's his most popular book. He couldn't even quote a verse, but he's going to profit off of the Bible, holding it upside down. Remember that great picture where he's holding it upside down? Couldn't cite a Bible verse to save his life, but even though the easiest one is Jesus wept, right? So, anyways, not the point. So just let's really call a spade here. Let's really do what, challenge ourselves here. And even if you're the most ardent Magite out there, even they are having trouble with this. Now, there's always going to be people who defend it, but let's just really say that the appearance looks awful. And even if any way, shape, or form you could justify it, 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 I just don't even know what to do with it. So, all right, I'm going to end that one segment. I had about 30 seconds left on the clock. But again, this is a little hard, when I'm trying to carry the conversations all myself. I have to listen to Andy and bounce off what he says. But all right, I'm going into my second segment. I'm going to talk sports, NBA. We talked a little NBA playoffs last week. This is a fascinating series of days for the NBA. So if you don't follow, obviously they're in the midst of the playoffs. They seed 1 through 8. In fact, they do a very interesting playoff format where the 7, 8, 9, 10 teams at the end of the season in each of the conferences, there are 2 conferences, play each other to determine who will be the 7th and 8th seeds in the playoffs. So 1 through 6 are automatically in the playoffs, and then 7 through 10 do a seed, do a little series of games to determine who will be the seventh and eighth seed. Okay, so that aside, so we have the first round went off. It's typical one seed versus eight, two, seven, three, six, four, five. That went off pretty standard. I don't think there were any huge upsets in there. Minnesota beating the Lakers was a somewhat of an upset in terms of the seeding, but the reality is Minnesota was a lot better than the Lakers, and even though the Lakers had that huge trade during the year to get Luka Doncic. But that aside, the second round you had really now it starts, you have the top four teams playing now. And in both of the conferences, in the Western Conference, is a deep conference, a lot of good teams, but really one elite team, Oklahoma City. And so they've been playing Denver, who won the championship a couple years back, and Denver fired their coach with three games left in the season. That's how desperate things were with Denver, and they've been playing really well. And so they're taking Oklahoma City, the number one team in the NBA, yet alone the Western Conference. They're the number one team. They're taking them. It's now going to a sixth game, so that game's a brawler. In the Eastern Conference, you really had the top two teams: Cleveland, which was right up there with Oklahoma City, and then Boston, which had won the tournament or the NBA championship last year. They dominated last year. I mean, some people would say, well, they had an easy playoff schedule. It doesn't matter. They fucking killed everybody last year. And it looked like they were going to do the same this year. And then they started playing the Knicks and in the second round. So Boston versus New York. You might think this is a huge rivalry. The media makes it seem like a huge rivalry. Boston has always dominated this series in historically. New York rarely wins. Well, New York went in to Boston, took the first two games. They lost game three in New York, and so it's 2-1. They're playing in New York on Monday, and Boston's best player at the end of the game, it looked like New York was going to win the game anyways, so they were going to go up 3-1, and then Boston's best player goes down, and it turns out he tore his Achilles, so he's out just the rest of this year, of course, and most likely all of next year, um, including the playoffs. Devastating injury for Boston. Now, could they still win? Yeah, sure, they can still win, but they're going to be heavily degraded at this point. Most likely, it's not gonna. They'll wind up losing. But that said, so if Boston loses, the number one team, Cleveland, they lost game five last night. So they lost their series to Indiana. So you have the number one team and the number two team likely are going to lose here. And you have just a huge upheaval in these playoffs that are going on. So the teams that we thought were going to be there at the end are losing early in these playoffs. So that's an exciting twist for them, and the ratings may suffer because of that because you don't have the top teams in there. But look, if you have a team like Indiana, and you can't argue if New York's going to be in the finals, that's going to be a huge thing. And then you have Oklahoma City on the other side. You could say it's not the hugest media markets, but it is what it is. But the other big news with the NBA was the NBA draft lottery, and we talked about this last earlier. Andy and I talked about it, and the way the draft lottery is based on whether you make the playoffs or not. You get a percentage of ping pong balls in the ping pong ball twirler, and you have odds on what you can get. The bottom three teams all have like a 14.7% chance of getting the number one pick, but there's no guarantee. So what happens is they draw the first one, and it goes through, and you can tell who will be, based on where they end at the end of the year. So they do 1 through 14 or whatever it is. If as they count down from 14, when they reveal it, you can see who's moving up and not. So, like if a team is in the number 12 position and they draw the card, and at number 12 another team shows up, that team has moved up. So Dallas was near the end of it. I think they might have been the 14th one. They had a 1.8% chance of winning the lottery, They wound up winning the fucking lottery over teams that had a 14.7% chance of winning. So if you'll remember, if anybody follows the NBA, Dallas had a huge trade this year with the Lakers. They traded their best player for somebody from the Lakers who's routinely hurt. And and it was an unbelievable trade, and I thought the Lakers were now going to be champions or contend for the championship, and they wound up losing, like I said earlier. But so the Dallas fans were in a riot after this trade. They won. Most NBA people couldn't believe it happened for the first place. And two, like a lot of fans just were like, I'm done. How am I? You sold our best player for 50 cents on the dollar. And some people will say, well, Anthony Edwards or Anthony Davis is a great player. Yeah, but he's hurt, so whatever. But I know I'm getting into the weeds on all this. I hope you guys are all following me. But the bottom line is Dallas fans were in a riot. And now they get the number one draft pick who's expected to be Cooper Flagg out of Duke. He's like a generational player, everyone says. So this is, it calls into question whether the NBA lottery is really rigged. And if you go back over time, teams that had bad things happen to them all of a sudden and there goes my timer, but I'll wrap up here, but all of a sudden conveniently got the number one draft pick the following year. Like for example, when LeBron James had the decision and he left Cleveland to go to take his talents to Miami, the following year, who conveniently got the number one draft pick? Cleveland. And so it's those type of things, that call into question the legitimacy of this draft lottery. And people, they bring media people in the room to watch and make sure everything's legit. That's all well and good, and all the media people can say what they want to say, but it calls into question whether or not this is rigged. I just don't know why. If you're the worst team, you get the number one pick, and so on and so forth. So just some things to really think about as we go through. Okay, last thing I'm going to cover here. Just a lot of great things happening on social or on pop culture these days. And I think it's just been a fascinating time to see two things happen. One, this Andor run, and it wrapped up last night. 3 episodes dropped. I have not finished watching it, but Andor was an amazing, has been an amazing experience. I've seen some people comment about it. Again, it still looks like it wrapped up beautifully. So I can't wait to watch that. And it just calls into question, like, here's a guy, Tony Gilroy, who helped write Rogue One, which is my second favorite Star Wars movie, and then did Andor season one and season two, the two best shows out there. Like whether it's live action movies, live action cartoons, or the live action series. This is at the top. So if I were to rank it, it'd be Empire Strikes Back is number one, Star Wars Rogue One is number two, and then Andor season one and two in there. I think two is better than one, but they're both great, and then everything else. And so I think when you really look at it, you know, why why is it like Star Wars has done this so well, and then they do something shitty like the sequel trilogy, like that was awful. They had J.J. Abrams do it, and it was just fucking awful. I mean, Force Awakens I can watch a little bit, but the other two were just the worst. And then you have these other shows like Mandalorian was great the first couple seasons, and then it started going off the rails a little bit. So I'll be interested to see how they tie that up. But like, why are they overcomplicating some of this? This is just great storytelling. Get a great storyteller and give them the script to write it. And I'm so excited to see this level of Star Wars content. And I'm also just so fearful about what's going to come next and see how that's going to go. So, a lot of things to look forward to on the Andor front. On the other part of it, like if you really want to get into the nerdy side of things, like the Marvel content, like Thunderbolts looks like it's doing great. I'm excited about the Fantastic Four coming up. It looks like we're in a really good position moving forward for breathing life back into some of these series. I thought Loki last year was good. It went on a little dip with Captain America this year, but still a decent movie, I think. And then you go through and watch the other stuff. On the DC side, we're all talking about Superman and excited to see where that goes. Though I'm just a little like I love Superman. I love what it is, but this is now the fourth Superman in our lifetime, and it's starting to be a little questionable at some end. So a little concerned about some of that. Um, the second part is Peacemaker. So the new trailer for Peacemaker. This is a series on HBO or Max, what do you want to call it? It was last year. It was last year or the year before the original Peacemaker came out. It was a little weird plot line, a little creepy in some respects, but the show was awesome. Very well done. John Cena, great, played a great character. Really did an amazing job there. Episode season two is coming out later this year, so I'm excited to watch this. It looks like more of the same. I tell you, like the career of John Cena, when you really like how he compares to like other professional act like wrestlers who have gone on to make movies, really the only one comparable is The Rock, I think. And The Rock went pure action, and he had a little bit of the humor, right? I think there's a and then Rock also did some of the kid stuff, the Moana stuff. He'll always be known for Moana and playing the Maui character. So a lot of great things with The Rock, but I'm beginning to wonder if John Cena's career is getting up there in terms of challenging The Rock. He has gone more of the physical comedy type of thing and the deadpan comedy. He's got a really good thing going, I think. He's played in some really good roles. Um, God, what was the one that they released on Amazon with Zac Efron, Lemony Stickety or whatever. I can't remember. I'll get the name of it, but that was a hilarious concept that he played very well. He was in Blockers, another good comedy where he played a kind of an overburdened dad a little bit, and the hijinks ensued there. And he's played this Peacemaker character. That again, it's a not a like I never knew he was a character in the first place until Suicide Squad came out, which was a bomb of a movie. But then he also, he developed that into something, and I think he carried a lot of the performance, and he's done a really good job there. And in addition, he's got a little bit of a wrap up on his WWE career going on as well. So a lot of good things going on these kind of pop culture fronts with Star Wars. Hopefully they can build upon that and capitalize upon some of that work. And then the Marvel and DCU. We'll see how that goes. I'll be honest. I, I'm less confident in DC. I know Andy's a big fan of the James Gunn and what he can bring from like based on his past work. I just these interconnected universes, when we start overthinking them sometimes, it just it makes it very hard for the audiences. And I think in that respect, that's where Marvel lost its way by trying to go a little bit above and beyond and bring some of these things in and trying too hard with the unfamiliar and trying too hard with making everything connected. I'm worried that DC has started this way, and we'll see. I mean, Superman's a great way to start, but how many times are we going to hear the same story over and over? And I know there will be a slight difference to it, but man, I hope they can pull it off. All indications are strong, but at the same time, I think we really need to think about what we're doing on some of those fronts. So, lots to look forward to, a lot of things, and there goes my alarm for that. So, hey, look, I did it, everyone. I did three segments, talked a little bit about Trump bullshit. I didn't even talk about the trade stuff. I love declaring victory when you had no tariffs. You went to 145 tariffs or 145% tariffs, then back down to 30% tariffs, which 30% is still more than nothing, and you're declaring victory as if you've somehow gotten things done correctly. Like we're still going to pay for this, right? I mean, yeah, 30% is still more than zero. So I love how these self-inflicted wounds come across um, as victories. So again, that's called a distraction. It's called a, hey, I'm going to distract people because I've won. We've won. We're going to get more money. Let me know when it starts showing up in your pocketbook, people. Let me know when you start seeing more income come in and the costs go down. So just I'll be here for that. You can at me on that. So, all right, everyone. That wraps up my solo pod for this week. Hopefully, Andy will be back on Friday. Don't know. We'll find out on Friday, I guess, if he shows up or not. So, congratulations again to the Jabor family. Very proud of you all, and very excited for your day today and tomorrow. I know it's going to be an exciting couple of days. I know you got a long trip, then back home. So, all right, we'll catch up with you on Friday.